What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky and nerdy stuff that I love to talk about, and it's time. The time has come to talk about Masters of the Universe Revolution. I'm a huge Masters of the Universe fan. If Masters of the Universe was my first fandom, before I was into Superman and DC Comics, before I was into Marvel, before I was into Ninja Turtles, before I was into video games, before I was into any of that stuff, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Star Trek, it doesn't matter. Before I was into any of that, I was into Masters of the Universe. For my 4th birthday, I had this huge Christmas where my parents just got me all Masters of the Universe things under the sun. And I watched the cartoons, and from that point on, I was hooked on this universe. Behind me, you can see, I've got Masters of the Universe on my wall. I love this franchise. For me, this franchise is responsible for me moving on in my life and becoming a fan of all the other franchises that I've been a fan of. I've got original toys galore. I've got a whole bunch of modern toys that have released within the past 5 years or so. I am a fanatic. Huge fan of the original series. 2002 series came out. I like that one a lot. The Netflix series that has that I have some toys on. I've got some toys on that series right there. I liked it for what it was. It wasn't my favorite. It was a complete reimagining of Masters of the Universe for modern kids, and that's the thing. It was geared towards modern kids, so I was able to enjoy that for what it was. It's never going to be my go-to Masters of the Universe. Revelations came out a few years ago, and it was 2 parts. Came out in part 1. Part 1 was really Teela-centric, and I hated it. I hated it because of the way that they handled He-Man. It's called, the original cartoon anyways, was called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. He-Man is the draw, not Teela. Part 2 came out, and I liked Part 2 a lot more than Part 1. I liked Part 2 enough that I was able to look at the whole entirety of Revelations as a decent attempt. I love the character designs. I love the animation. I loved the second half of the story. The first half of the story reeked of doggy doo-doo. All right. So Revolution is a sequel to Revelations. I'm going to say something here that's not going to be popular amongst most Masters of the Universe fans, because I know most Masters of the Universe fans love to crap on this series, and Kevin Smith is not their ideal person to be at the helm of He-Man. I liked Revolution quite a bit. Let me say that again. I liked Revolution quite a bit. Much better than Revelations. I will watch it more than that new Netflix kiddie series. It was a fun time. Now, it's 5 episodes, and each episode has a title, and a title card at the beginning, but the whole thing kind of plays like a film. And I kind of wish that they would have released it as a film instead of as a series. I think it would have flowed a little bit better, and I think that there's some stuff in there, very minor stuff, that they could have cut to make it flow a little bit better had it been a film. I would have really enjoyed having a movie sequel, a movie Masters of the Universe animated sequel to Revelations. And I think Revolution would have worked better as a film. But I liked this series. I thought it was very good. They treated He-Man with the respect that he deserved. We didn't get as much He-Man as I would have liked. Now let me explain. Adam has a bigger presence in this movie. See, I'm saying it. Has a bigger presence in this series than He-Man does. So, it's not a spoiler. It's in the trailers. King Randor dies in the first episode. And Adam goes on this journey where he's trying to decide what it means to be king of Eternia. And through that process, he decides to abdicate the throne to someone else. Someone with evil intentions. and he doesn't know it. He's been sold a bill of goods that he bought, and he got bamboozled. And then He-Man and the Masters of the Universe have to do their thing to get the throne back and retake Eternia. There was a whole lot to like in this. I really liked this version of Skeletor. This version of Skeletor is a Skeletor that has fused with technology. I forget what they called him, Skelemech or something like that. That's not it. But it was indeed a Skeletor that's fused with technology. He was fun, voiced by Mark Hamill, who does a great job of voicing the character. He was a threat. And he was a threat in a different way this time, because he was kind of a silent threat that was moving in the background, kind of in the foreground and in the background, but you didn't realize he was a threat until maybe midway through the series. Hordak has a big presence in this film, and I like this take on Hordak. This Hordak felt very true to the Hordak that you knew in the 80s, in the She-Ra cartoons. This felt like Hordak. Looked like him, sounded like him. His processes, his character processes, all felt very Hordak. All right, so this is the burning question. Teela was a terrible character in Revelation. Was she better in Revolutions? The answer is yes, absolutely. She was more like Teela this time. She was the Teela that was in love with Adam. The Teela that is head of the Royal Guard, second only to Man-at-Arms. This was Teela. And it was great having Teela back instead of having this muscle-bound, weird version of the character that I guess Netflix felt like we had to have. No, give us the characters that we like and don't turn them into something else. And this one was much truer to the Teela that we know. The supporting masters were all there. Ram Man, Orko, Fisto, Clamp Champ. They were all there. But really at front and center was He-Man, Teela, Skeletor, Evil Lyn, and that was our main characters, and to some extent Hordak. So this felt much truer to the spirit of Masters of the Universe. Now, what this really felt true to was the DC comic book Masters of the Universe. So a number of years ago, we're talking 10 plus years ago, I think it was 2012, DC Comics released a 6-part series called Masters of the Universe. It was a big hit. Then they went on and did a Masters of the Universe ongoing series. I think it ran for 25 issues, I think. Somewhere in that ballpark. And it was great. The Masters of the Universe series ended, and they released the Eternia War. So it was He-Man, the Eternia War. The Eternia War was phenomenal. Listen, guys, you don't have to take my word for it, but from my opinion, the Eternia War is the best He-Man storyline that has ever been written. Go back and read it. It's phenomenal. It incorporates every component of He-Man lore. It does it respectfully, respects all the characters, and it's engaging, it's exciting, it's a great story. This series, Revolutions, borrows components of that Masters of the Universe ongoing and the Eternia War. Specifically, one of the big components that they borrowed was Teela's arc. In the comics, Teela becomes the sorceress, which happened in Revelations, and her journey continues with the snake magic. Now, I'm not going to say much more about it, but if you've read the comics, you know what happens as far as Teela and the snake magic is concerned. So I can't imagine any He-Man fan getting mad at Teela's storyline here, because they are literally paying reverence to one of the greatest He-Man stories ever told. So because of that, I have a hard time watching Revolution and thinking, man, they don't know what they're talking about. They did. They really knew what they were talking about. They went deep into He-Man lore and picked from one of the best He-Man stories ever told. So, I really enjoyed this. There was a couple stingers at the end. One of them involving a character called Dispara. If you're a He-Man fan, you know who Dispara is, and you know what that means for the future. You know where they're going next with it. And boy, is that exciting. Now, the one caveat that I have to this, to Dispara showing up at the very end, is I was always under the impression that Revelations and Revolution was a sequel to the original series. That was kind of, I felt what they sold to us, was that this was a sequel to the original series. Clearly, that's not the case if they're introducing Dispara now. I'm not going to tell you who Dispara is. If you're a He-Man fan, you already know. But it's a major character that everybody has heard of. Even people who do not know who Ram Man is, do not know who Moss Man or any of those tertiary He-Man characters are, you know who this character is, Dispara. So the very fact that they're bringing Dispara in this manner, using this mechanism of introduction, leads me to believe that this is not a sequel to the original series. If it is a sequel to the original series, then there must be amnesia going on there. There must be all sorts of stuff happening there, not just to one character, but multiple characters. So I'm curious to see how they're going to play this, but man, this got me excited. I am excited about the Masters of the Universe television again. I wasn't after Revelations. I was very so-so on Revelations. Like I said, hated part 1, really liked part 2. I felt that the whole thing was kind of a wash. I was curious about Revolutions, and boy, I'm pumped about Masters of the Universe again. Revolutions was good, guys. I'm sure that there's videos out there online saying, Teela is too powerful, Teela did this, why? Okay, here's another thing I read online. Minor spoiler here. Minor spoiler if anybody cares about that. You might want to, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put up my hand. When I start talking the spoiler, I'll put my hand down when the spoiler is done. All right, here we go. At the end of the 5 episodes, He-Man says He-Man is now the king, but he again gives up his throne in favor of a democracy. He gives democracy to the people. I don't love that. I also don't hate it. It's kind of true to the spirit of who He-Man is. But I don't know if I love it based on the spirit of what Eternia is. And I don't know if I love it based on where it might go. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people online complaining about it. I don't think it goes against the spirit of He-Man. But I do have concerns about it. All right, spoiler over. Also, another really cool thing, Gwildor is in this. Gwildor from the He-Man, from the Masters of the Universe live-action TV show. Gwildor is present. He sounds like Gwildor. He looks like Gwildor. And it's a lot of fun seeing him on screen again. So, guys, for me, this is a love letter to Masters of the Universe fans. Paying homage to the original series, paying homage to the comic books, even paying homage to the live-action feature film, while at the same time trying to keep some of the stuff that worked in Revelations in order to make the continuity consistent. He-Man fans who are watching this video, check out Revolutions. It's quality He-Man programming. All right, guys. Have you seen it? Maybe you don't agree with me. Just because I've been a He-Man fan since 1984 doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. You can very well have watched Revolution and think that it's terrible. Even if you're a He-Man fan for the last year or two, even if you just discovered He-Man, even if you've been a He-Man fan for 30 plus years like me, you can watch Revolution and hate it, and that's fine. That's the beautiful thing about film and TV is we can disagree, but we're still fans. We're still fans of the material. So let me know what you thought of it, whether you liked it or didn't like it down below. Let me know why you feel the way that you feel. And maybe we can have a healthy discussion about it. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This one was longer, but I have a lot to say about He-Man. I love the franchise, and I'm finally excited about it again. So thanks for joining me here, guys. Hit that subscribe button, and until next time, we'll see you later.